Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and today we have an embarrassment of riches of viola libraries. The viola. It's kind of a misunderstood instrument, maybe, or at least when I was coming up, a maligned instrument. But two libraries came out at the same time this past month from Bunker Samples and Inlet Audio, both focusing on the soft, intimate, and really evocative side of the instrument. Let's take a look at both of them today. It's apples and oranges, but I think they work together in a way you might be interested in finding out about. The viola is kind of this string instrument between the violin and the cello. It's tuned like a cello, C, G, D, A, but an octave up. Lower than a violin, a bigger instrument whose voice is somewhat broader. Compare it to, say, perhaps the alto voice, although not many altos can go down to that C. I have a lot of affection for the sound of the instrument. I can't forget the first time I heard the jazz violinist Leroy Jenkins pick up a viola and play on the viola. Amazing. Dina Maccabee, a Bay Area violinist who also plays viola, really uses it to great advantage in alternative pop and some of the contemporary stuff that's going on there. And let's not forget Philip Glass's score to Akhenaten that has no violins in it at all. The highest strings are the violas, and it exposes the high tenor voice of the lead, Akhenaten, in a beautiful way. The instrument is the butt of jokes. But in the past 100 years or so, we've gotten a lot of great music for viola, and it's a really important instrument in the orchestra. These libraries focus on the alternative sounds based around the instrument, and here they are sort of side by each. From Bunker Samples, the intimate viola is focusing on these beautiful soft textures, and you can select any one of these individual sort of articulations. And there's really a bunch of different ones. We'll look at some of them. And then by comparison, Inlet Audio's approach has been to create an interface that allows you to layer articulations that are sometimes quite animated. Choose any one of these and go ahead and play. Now, I think in terms of like writing melodies and harmonies, it's probably more useful to use the Bunker Samples intimate viola. And for spooky textures and animated pads for background textures that are evocative, probably it's the Inlet Audio voice. Listen to this piece. It's about a minute long. Well, you heard various articulations there, including harmonics, glissandi harmonics, sul ponticello, that is over the bridge, sul tasto, tremolos, all kinds of fun things with the sordinos, with the mutes. In fact, there's a couple of articulations that allow us to go from a normale, a regular sounding string, into the mute by using the continuous controller, and that's very expressive. I think we'll just take a look at first one, then the other, just kind of review the GUIs and talk a little bit about how this might be useful for you in your own work. So here's Bunker Samples intimate viola, and I've loaded the main patch, and there are several patches that include other things, but this main patch gives us a host of articulations. Look, there's like 21 different articulations that we can select. These Normale patches are unmuted. The CS patches are con Sordino with mute. They all have slightly different vibes. Listen to the sustain Normale. Using the expression slider. And then kind of the same thing, but with Sordino. Slightly less bright in a beautiful way. And there are some wonderful things going on here, including bow pulses, which are great for chords. Listen to how the pulses interact with each other irregularly. These vibrato pulses are great. As well as the random rebos with Sordinos. It's just an A minor 7 chord. Articulating itself. Harmonics are just a ball. I used harmonics in my piece. We've got mics inside the instrument, super close, close, mid, and far, and I have them all turned on right now. It's worth experimenting with them. I don't think we want a 40-minute long video, but it's fascinating, really. Along with the sort of like basic window here, we've got effects. I have the delay and the reverb turned off. I'm using my own reverb. I just prefer to do that. Let's look at a couple of other intimate viola options. Along with the main, which is what we were just looking at, we've got con Sordino into Normale, and that's just fascinating to me. So let's take a look at how that works out. So a con Sordino is with a mute, and we can go from that muted sound into a brighter, more open sound. With expression as well. You can hear the brightness coming in. And that's the triple P. Let's go to the normal P, same thing. You won't find pizzicatos. You won't find staccato sounds. You won't find things that are useful for like up and down, agitated, quick, articulations in any of these instruments, in any of these patches. Nevertheless, great for sustained and animated, spooky, moody, intimate sounds. Dynamic sustains are kind of just what you'd expect. Let's listen to the lows. The lowest note on a viola is the C. Very pretty down there, isn't it? Here, do the same thing with the Sordino, with the mutes. Beautiful dark texture. The swells are available built in. They actually have them set up here, and this is just unusual. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this before, on Time Machine. And so you can Set your swell choice, like I want a Sordino swell. I want it to be 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. This is a playable instrument. Let's go and look at the inlet audio intimate viola textures. We have 2 tabs here, A and B. Right now, only A is turned on. And I can choose the articulation that I'd like to hear. Let's choose sustain 1. And we've got an envelope generator, filters, which right now are off, now they're on, and panning, which is kind of useful, I have to say, as well as pitch. I use the pitch to get a bass sound in my piece. Well, here's our sustain. This viola is performed by Haley Walterman, and it is a beautifully recorded, close, intimate sound. Let's give it a faster attack and see if this is playable. Well, one could wish for maybe a little slower attack. I'd say the initial sound of the instrument isn't its sort of biggest feature. The second sustain is really different. Listen. Lovely. Now, Colegno, with the wood of the bow, is a great sound. If you flip the bow over, you just rub the wood of the bow on the strings. It's the best thing ever, right? It's creepy. We have improvisations, which are, that kind of like slightly articulated version of a note. Here's one note. Right? So you get different rebowings. And if I add a second pitch to that, you're going to get different versions of those rebowings. And it gets pretty animated. Trills, of course. Major and minor seconds. And I like the harmonic gliss a lot. This is something that I used in my composition. So sliding the fingers lightly across the string as you gliss up and down the string with a bow. So you have different types of glisses there. You hear it's essentially bowed across the strings as opposed to glissing up and down on a single string. Up and down on a single string. Across several strings. Maybe you can hear the difference. Well, the idea, I guess, then is to match the two of them together. And we've got, I love snapshots, basic combinations that will give you worlds, like little viola intimate worlds. All of these basic combinations are at pitch. And they've gone a little bit further and given us what they call creative combinations, where the pitches sometimes are wacky. Like, for instance, this pitch is down an octave. I'm not really doing anything. This is just the patch. Right now, Inlet Audio's got this viola textures discounted, and I say kind of criminally inexpensive library. It adds a kind of a terrific sort of voice to almost any arrangement. And I am a big fan of ear candy in orchestral and string writing. You don't necessarily need everything to be exactly, on your tone. It can be mixed in back there and can give your basically kind of otherwise beautiful harmonic chord progression a little bit of juice, right? Well, fun instrument to play around with. I'm not going to say which one I like better. It's apples and oranges, and they're both super useful. I will say that I'm a big fan of Bunker Strings, the Bunker Samples Strings collection. I use it quite a bit. It's got some super stuff going on there. And Inlet Audio's Kayvon Violin, very, very cool textures there as well. Yay to both those guys. Listen, let's just play out with this piece again. I hope this has been useful. Don't forget the Halloween Hangover Challenge that Martin Heidenreich and I are running. Like and subscribe, ding the bell. I'll see you next time.